As film photographers, we're seemingly masochists who love watching our money thrown into a pit and burned with nothing but shitty negatives to return. Well, thankfully for us, Kodak just recently announced another price hike to pretty much all of their films as well as their single-use cameras. While the price increases aren't as bad as we've seen historically, we're seeing the majority of price increases be somewhere between 10 and 5%, with some being much higher, which we'll get to, and there are a couple that are actually going down, which is obviously a good thing. Definitely keep in mind when we're discussing this that this is to retail shops and not direct to consumer, film camera stores and brands and stuff like that. So because they obviously have to make margins and make their buck on it too, we could be seeing a slightly more increase than what's being reported in these numbers. This price increase is coming January 1st, so be sure to stock up on film in the coming weeks versus paying more this next month. I have some affiliate links for some reputable sites if you want to check that out, and that will help the channel out quite a bit, so thanks for that. Okay, enough of the jargon, let's get into it. As per a couple different online sources, Color Plus, Ultramax, and Gold in 35mm are going to be rising by about 8%, which includes individual rolls and multi-pack rolls. Normally you can save some money by buying the triple pack, which will still remain true, but we will be seeing both the 3-pack and the individual go up by that 8%. Thankfully, the professional line of Kodak film, mainly the Portra lineup, is going to be increasing by only 5%, which to me, all things considered, when you think of Kodak prices rising, I instantly think of Portra. So 5%, honestly, I'll take it. However, the biggest increase, which is definitely the biggest bummer to me, I'm going to be completely honest, is Kodak Gold in 120 is going up by 30%. As we've seen nothing but great things from this film stock in the past year, Kodak Gold 200 and 120 had been one of the most affordable but still high quality medium format film stocks that you could get within the past year. So seeing this increase sucks. Gold 200 in medium format was originally released in March of 2022 and was actually heavily discounted so that people would get out and shoot the film. Thankfully, I just bought 2 packs for, I think it was $37 or something like that. So if you want Kodak Gold, which I would heavily suggest, because to me it's like 85% of the way to Portra for a fraction of the price. I know we're getting into some ridiculous math here, but for the price and for the amount of film you're getting for medium format, I think right now is the best time to get it almost objectively. So if you need color medium format film, definitely buy it now. On the other hand, Kodak Ektar in 120 is dropping by 8%, which is a welcome sign. I really love Ektar, so I'm happy to see this, and I actually shoot quite a bit of it, especially now that I'm out here in Colorado, shooting a lot more landscapes. I know Ektar can be kind of polarizing, especially for people who are shooting a wide variety of stuff, not just landscapes. But honestly, I do think it's underrated if you know how to shoot it. Yes, it's going to make people's skin tones a little more punchy and vibrant, but there are ways around it. And I think it is an overall really good film stock, especially for the 100 speed in medium format. With that being said, we'll take any price decrease as long as it's not going into retirement early and Kodak's trying to shuffle it off. I'm just going to stop talking to not even put this into existence. In the same vein, 35mm Tri-X black and white film is decreasing by 27% and 21% for 24 exposure and 36 exposure rolls. This is the second time this year we're seeing the decrease for Tri-X, which is great, especially in its 70-year anniversary year. However, T-Max and Tri-X in 120 are going to both be increasing by 20%, which, damn it. All these price increases come in lieu of Kodak shutting down production this past November to upgrade their facilities for the long term. In the grand scheme of things, this price increase, at least to me, isn't the end of the world. It's a marginal increase in most cases. Except for the gold, I will say that one hurts. Also, before talking some other noteworthy things that I think will dictate the future price of film in 2025 and beyond, there are a couple other brands that are going to be increased that I want to cover quick now. Across most of Ilford's brand and beneath them is going to be a 4 to 8% increase across Ilford and Kentmere film, paper, chemicals, and accessories from these brands, but thankfully Harman Phoenix will not be affected. This goes into effect December 18th, so if you're interested in those films, I know it's not the biggest increase, but you might as well buy it now. You have 8 days as of posting this to get it, so yeah, check it out. Cinestill has also announced a 5 to 10% increase on their products as well. Because they're respooled Kodak film, obviously they have to pass that on to the consumer as well, because God forbid that they eat any cost. Okay, so that's it for all the price changes, but there are some things that I want to cover that I think, like I said, will potentially change the price of film going forward. Alaris has stopped selling motion picture film to film stores globally who are respooling said film into 35mm rebranded canisters to sell to their local consumers. This was always a sort of under-the-table transaction, but with Alaris's new ownership, I think we could be seeing Kodak not wanting to leave some of the profits on the table, so to speak. Thus, I think we could be seeing Kodak making their own Vision 3 cinema film, whatever you want to call it, under the Kodak name and being sold to consumers as a brand new film. While I don't have any proof of that, I think based off of just kind of like the nomenclature they've been using and how they're kind of leveraging themselves in the current market, it seems like it would make sense to me. Obviously, over the past like 2 or 3 years, the rebranded cinema film has done incredibly well for a ton of different brands. And I think with Kodak's new owners, they're kind of realizing that they could easily be selling this direct to consumers with the Kodak branding and probably be selling more than all of these rebranded stuff combined, probably close to millions of dollars. So again, total hypothesis. There's nothing super solidified for me to be theorizing this extensively, but yeah, I don't know. I think that if they don't do that, be kind of foolish. Which brings up another point that I want to potentially cover in another video, because we could get very deep into this, and I don't really want to do that with this video because I don't think it's necessarily on topic. But it's the idea that Kodak is running a monopoly. While I understand that notion, especially with how they could control the current color film market almost exclusively, we have to keep in mind that nobody else wants to or is trying to take a slice of Kodak's pie in film sales. In fact, their competitors have shown time and time again that they want nothing to do with the industry that Kodak essentially runs solely. Which to me, I don't think is something that we should be like shaming Kodak for monopolizing it when all of their actual competitors have just fallen out of the industry almost entirely. However, I guess there is an argument to be made for Kodak kind of somewhat abandoning consumer film sales, but then also digging themselves so deeply into the sand with not investing in any other type of market or industry like Fujifilm or some of these other companies have done to keep sales afloat. Obviously, Alaris has other industries that they're working in, but compared to Fujifilm's massive contracts with some other massive companies in the world, yeah, again, I don't want to dive too deep into it, but I think it is maybe a little unfair to think that Kodak is like a malicious Big Daddy Warbucks trying to intentionally monopolizing the market while squeezing every dollar out of its consumers. I just think with the current state of the US and world economy, the state of film, raw materials, etc., Kodak kind of has its back against the walls, which yes, a lot of it can be attributed to Kodak's poor financial history, I guess we could call it. Another thing we should keep in mind are the potential tariffs coming to the US, which would certainly impact film this next year. While yes, Kodak is an American company and is manufacturing in America, there's no doubt that they're sourcing at least some of their raw materials for their film from China, which would also increase film prices. While it's currently not set in stone, and for everyone's sake, I don't want to get too political, but with the expected tariffs from he who shall not be named, there's a good possibility that many things would see a price increase, and film would be no exception. Not to mention companies like Reflex Lab or Lucky Film, who've worked so hard to bring some of their products to the market, would be pretty severely penalized by these tariffs, at least to the US market. Regardless of what happens, there's one thing for certain. As a whole, film prices will continue to go up until the demand crashes. At that point, the supplies will slowly stack up and prices will go down. For me, other than the Gold 200, it doesn't really affect too much of my thought process when it comes to shooting. It's going to take a lot more than a 10% increase to stop me from wasting my time, money, effort, and sanity on taking shitty photos on film. Otherwise, I want to hear what you guys think. I'm interested if you think Kodak is justified in these price hikes, and if this will impact you shooting film in this upcoming year with some of these smaller numbers. Yes, film is already expensive, but doing the math on some of these, we're seeing like not even $1 increase. So I don't want to get too carried away or jump to too quick of a conclusion. Otherwise, that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. Thank you for listening. I know we covered quite a bit. Definitely let me know your thoughts on all this stuff down in the comments below. And until the next one, guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay shooting. Adios.